Hey, what up guys, it's Stickman here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to easily defeat the Master King Koco trial in Sonic Frontiers Update 3 on hard mode. That's right, we're not going to drop the difficulty down to easy because we aren't bitches. But on the real though, I finally managed to beat it around 4 to 5 times now on hard mode, so I'm going to do my best to explain the strategy that I used in as much detail as possible, so that way you guys can go into it prepared. First off, some important facts. Number 1, Sonic stats are going to be fixed, so you're going to be stuck at level 1 stats the entire fight. Number 2, perfect parry is the only way to parry attacks. On hard mode, I think you only have 8 frames to perform a perfect parry. Now, what's a perfect parry? Perfect parry is when you hold both bumpers left and right at the exact same time to dodge an incoming enemy attack. In any other game with a polished fighting system, the perfect parry is not much of a problem, but with Sonic Frontiers, it wasn't really designed with the perfect parry in mind, so in addition to the combat jank, you're also going to have very inaccurate telegraphing of enemy attacks, so don't feel bad if you can't parry an attack. And finally, rings will be unavailable, so you're going to start off with 400 rings that you're going to have to share amongst all 3 of the Titans, and the problem is you can't side loop any rings, so those 400 rings are all you're stuck with. Now with that being said, let's get into it Titan by Titan. Alright, Titan number 1, Giganto or Giganto, however you want to pronounce it. You can see I'm on hard mode right now. To get to the top of Giganto's head, you can take the route that I take in this video. It gets me there quickly, painlessly, and it's a lot of fun. Or you can take whatever route you want. Just make sure you don't get hit, because if you get hit at this point, then you might as well retry the trial. Get the emerald, turn super, skip the cutscene, and let's just get into it. Alright boys, so we have 3 Titans and only 400 superform seconds to take all of them down. So make it quick, start boosting over to Giganto, do a side loop on top of its head, and you will see that it will fly up into the air. Then you're going to want to do the punch stomp combo. So punch, then stomp, then punch, then stomp, then punch, then stomp. Essentially keep repeating that over and over again until the health bar freezes, indicating that Giganto is no longer taking any damage and your quick side loop meter has filled all the way up. Then you can stop hitting it and just chill and wait around. But I can't stress enough, it is very important that you side loop all of the Titans on their first phase, because the damage output that you do towards them increases substantially. And as a reminder, throughout the entire trial, you are stuck at level 1 attack stats. Now at this point, what I told you guys to do is to just wait around, and eventually Giganto will fall down to the ground and the next phase cutscene will play. And as a side note, whenever you're entering a next phase cutscene, the game's gonna know that, and it's gonna freeze your ring counter from draining for at least a couple of seconds, which is really nice. But while you're in the air, you can actually quick side loop Giganto and it'll immediately fall down to the ground. But the problem is, you're going to have to quickly perfect parry right afterwards and then pull off the finisher. If you don't do that, then it's pretty much the same thing as what we were doing before, so I recommend that if you want to play it safe, you wait around, but if you want to be risky and want to go for another perfect parry, then by all means, quick side loop. When the next phase begins, don't bother doing anything and wait for Giganto's first laser attack. When that happens, quickly spam LB and RB or the parry button, and that way you will dodge the laser and skip the QTE. Usually right after dodging the laser, Giganto will try to smack the air, and that's the perfect time for you to boost right into it and start doing a quick side loop. Now listen closely, because the next move that we pull off is going to be very interesting. Once Giganto's in the air, normally what happens is you become locked into position and you have to parry the attack. But there is a way to escape this. Once he's up in the air, immediately right afterwards, hit the bumpers to parry, boost to the left, and that way you can just punch, stomp, punch, stomp, punch, stomp, punch, stomp, until eventually all you have to do is homing attack it to be done. And that's great because we just skipped an incredibly difficult perfect parry window. If you followed everything that I was doing correctly, then you should end up with around 370 to 360 rings. So the fight should only take you around 30 to 40 rings. And this happened every single time I ran the strategy, so you should be good. Alright, Wyvern, so, oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. Now this is very subjective, but in my opinion, this is by far the jankiest and most difficult boss fight for all the wrong reasons. This fight can be very glitchy. Try your best to play it as normally as possible. You'll see what I mean when I get to that. In general, there's just so much going on that you can't even see what's happening on the screen at times. But anyways, start by side looping the ground with an infinity symbol to get an infinite boost. Next, climb up the tower. This shouldn't be difficult at all because that's literally what we've been doing the entire update. Wait for Wyvern to come close to you and then jump and homing attack his side. You can skip the cutscene and then homing attack these lasers to get onto the ribbon. Now when you get onto the ribbon, try not to do what I do here and like spin dash or maybe boost in a weird way. Just try not to break the scripting of this ribbon, because if you do, you might literally go flying like to the top of the map. It is essential that you dodge every single one of these projectiles, because as soon as you get hit by one of them, you will lose a ton of rings, and you don't want to do that before Wyvern, believe me. I know you've got an infinite boost, but don't be afraid to take things slow and let go of the boost button so that you can be aware of your surroundings and watch out for these projectiles. And a tip for quick stepping is do not use the analog stick. If you use the analog stick, you'll move multiple lanes at a time really quickly, and that can lead to imprecise movements, which could lead to you getting hit. So what I recommend instead is using the dodge buttons, aka the LB or RB shoulder buttons, and that way you'll move one lane at a time left or right, depending on which one you press. When you make it to the end of the ribbon, you're going to trick off, get the Chaos Emerald, become supersonic, and it's time for the Wyvern fight. The fight will begin when Wyvern targets its first set of missiles at you, so what you're going to want to do in the meantime is practice perfect parries as much as possible, so when a missile gets near you, you'll be able to easily dodge it and reflect it back at Wyvern. Don't even boost. Actually, I think boosting will make this a lot harder. Just wait for the first missile to come at you, and then perfect parry it. Let me slow the clip down so that way you guys can see exactly when you need to perfect parry a missile. It's pretty intuitive since it comes at you at a reasonable pace, and right when it's about to hit Sonic is when I recommend you do the perfect parry. The only challenge with perfect parrying the missiles is just that there are so many of them on screen at once, so focus on the one that's coming closest towards Sonic, and then perfect parry. After you perfect parry the missile, it's going to propel you forward closer towards Wyvern. Be careful, there could still be other missiles that could hit you, so do your best to perfect parry those along the way. Eventually it's going to slow down, and then Wyvern's going to start its first swipe attack. Watch for when the claw's right about to hit Sonic, and then perfect parry. So let me slow that down so that you guys can see it one more time. This is what's happening, and it's pretty intuitive since you hit the perfect parry right when the claw is next to you, even though the fingers on the claw aren't exactly close to you. What matters is that the claw itself is. When you've parried, the homing reticle should lock onto Wyvern, smack it, and then do a quick side loop. It's going to be locked in chains and in place so that you can easily do the punch stomp combo just like you did for Giganto. So punch, stomp, punch, stomp, punch, stomp. You should be able to get it down to half health, and then the next phase cutscene will begin playing. The biggest issue with Wyvern's fights is you can't get around the perfect parries. You have to perfect parry its attacks in order to deal damage to it. When the next phase begins, you can do the exact same thing you did for the first phase. Wait for one of the missiles to come close to you, perfect parry right when it's about to hit Sonic, make sure it ricochets off and hits Wyvern. That way you can begin to perfect parry its next set of attacks. Once Wyvern slows down, this time it's going to swipe at you twice instead of once. The first swipe is going to be exactly like the first swipe in phase 1. So just wait for the claw to come very close to Sonic, and then perfect parry to dodge. Now the next swipe is going to be a little unintuitive, and looking back at the footage, now I see why. You have to get ready to perfect parry a lot more in advance than for the first swipe. I mean, you can see right here that the perfect parry goes through right at this point in time, and you can see that the claw is still really far away from Sonic, but somehow this is the only way I got it to work, and don't ask questions, just do it. If you're able to do those two perfect parries really early on into the fight, then you are going to be in excellent shape for the night fight. And I do mean that, because once you get those two perfect parries in, you're free to attack Wyvern however you want. You can use whatever combo you want. You can even quick side loop Wyvern if you want, but whenever you quick side loop Wyvern on its second phase, then it's just going to immediately break out of its chains, and you're going to have to dodge an attack with a perfect parry just to be able to get more hits in, and it's very risky overall. I don't recommend it unless you're really good at perfect parries. But at the same time, when you've done enough damage, Wyvern is going to do another attack, but this time with its tail. And this attack is incredibly unpredictable if you haven't seen it before, because it's going to spin around once and you're going to think it hit you, but it didn't. Then it's going to spin around again, and once again you're going to think it hit you, but it didn't. And then it's going to hit you from near the bottom of its tail. I've rarely been able to perfect parry this attack, but I believe that this is the window where you need to pull it off. If you successfully pull this perfect parry off, then it's pretty much a guaranteed win, because all you have to do is keep attacking it until the fight's over. If you weren't able to pull it off, then it's going to be back to perfect parrying the missiles and then dodging the swipes to be able to attack it one more time. Once you do that, you're going to get that QT where Sonic takes all the missiles, throws them into a ball, and then kicks them at Wyvern. But once that's done, then you're once again going to have to perfect parry another missile, perfect parry his swipes, and then deal more damage. Once you've dealt enough damage, you're going to move on to the final QuickTime event section, where all you have to do is either press the on-screen button or mash the on-screen button. And here's a great tip for mashing the button. You don't have to do it. All you have to do is take your left analog stick and then just keep spinning it around in circles, and that'll get past it. I don't know why that works, but it does. So guys, that's pretty much it for taking down Wyvern. Just go in very confident, feeling like you can do it. Get ready to perfect parry those swipes. Try to perfect parry the tail, and that should be it. I usually end up finishing this fight with around 120 or 140 rings to spare, which may seem like a little, but considering the strat that I'm about to give you guys for night, all you're going to need is at least 60 to 70 rings. Alright, so we're on to one of my favorite titans in the game, Knight. All you're going to want to do to start is pretty much just watch out for the spikes that come out of the ground. What I recommend doing is jumping as much as possible. That way if you do get hit, you can always parry or dodge to avoid hitting the ground and losing your rings. When Knight stops spinning around and all of its spikes go down, wait for its hand to drop somewhere near you. I highly recommend boosting out of the way so that you don't get crushed. Avoid the spikes, jump on top of its hand, and then boost towards the grind rails. Climb up to get the Chaos Emerald, skip the cutscene, and let's begin the Knight fight. Knight is going to start circling the arena, so what you're going to want to do is find out whether it's going to circle clockwise or counterclockwise so that you can go into the opposite direction to attack its head. Eventually it's going to try to block your attacks by pulling out the shield, so just punch the shield and then press LB or RB, aka the bumper buttons, to dodge, so that way you can aim at its face. And instead of dealing any combos right away, just quick silence. Congratulations, you basically skipped the whole riding the shield section. All you have to do now is punch, stomp, punch, stomp, punch, stomp, once again doing the exact same thing you were doing before until the next phase begins. When you're on the second phase, Knight's going to throw its shield, so just make sure you follow where it's going, and the path that it goes is indicated by the targeting laser. I recommend staying around the middle somewhere, that way when you perfect parry the shield, you can aim it directly at Knight really easily. When you throw the shield back at Knight, begin to attack and keep building up your quick Psyloop meter. Once it's full, quick Psyloop Knight, and then go back to punch, stomp, punch, stomp, punch, stomp, and then after a couple of QTEs, the fight's over. That's it. That's the Master King Koco trial on hard mode in a nutshell. But that's really all there is to it, guys. A lot of perseverance, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sweat, but you know what? Feels good to beat it on hard mode. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Will I be making a guide for extreme mode? Honestly, I don't know. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to be an insane grind. The only real difference is just how much more tight the perfect parry window is. It's like 4 frames instead of 8 frames on hard, I think. You pretty much have to be flawless when it comes to the perfect parry blocks. But let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd really like to see. Depending on how well the support on this video is, I will definitely consider it. But yeah, also let me know in the comments below if you have any more tips and tricks. Be sure to share it with other people in the comments because they will definitely appreciate it. And I wish you guys the best of luck in beating this DLC and enjoying the final horizon. Thank you for watching this video, and a huge shout out to all the channel members supporting the channel directly. Shout out to Sonic Heroes 54. If you'd like to become a channel member, be sure to hit that join button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.